That's right, everyone. It's time for our Cobra Kai SpoilerCast Season 6, Part 2. Dragon, we know what we're doing here. Let's just dive right into it. The Cobra Kai Season 6 release schedule's been a little bit wonky, but I don't know. I think this kind of supersized season is, I'm enjoying it at least. I know it's been getting a little bit of a polarized reaction, but what do you think of this middle chunk of episodes that we got?
So, so I went in optimistic since part one was set up. We weren't really dazzled with it a lot, but there was hope. But I think I failed. I failed to realize that it was. Sorry, let me put it this way. I think I failed to realize that this part was either going to be spinning its wheels or peter out. Because like in the grand scheme of three acts, Act two can either go, we're gonna blow our wad with all the really cool stuff in the middle, with kind of the Empire Strikes Back chapter of the story, or we're gonna be waiting until the end game, which would be Act 3.
Mm-hmm.
So I failed to realize that going into this part, and the end result I think is a bit of both. Where I think I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's a very rough season or chunk of season, however you want to quantify it. This is no Breaking Bad Part 2, but it's kind of hard to do that when you chop it up into three. I think it had its moments, but I think the writing was very transparent, and it really feels like we're out of gas, or at least we're running on fumes until the ending. Basically we're betting it all on the Sekai Taikai to get us to the finish line. That feels very much what this whole kind of part of the season's all about, and I think the end result, it's kind of a convoluted mess in parts. It's kind of like imagine the you remember the Rocket Power finale movie, right? We go to New Zealand.
Sure, yeah.
It's kind of like that with karate. I wish I liked it as much as I liked the Rocket Power New Zealand, kind of finale. But it's got a solid cliffhanger, a kind of midpoint season finale. I just fear that this makes me think that even with that really good ending that we have here, we've written ourselves into a corner of like, where do we go from here with 5 episodes left?
Right.
I mean, we did the big tournament.
It kind of feels like there might be maybe 2 episodes at most you can really draw out of this conflict.
Like we kind of did the big thing, and then some really terribles happened, and I don't know where we go from here. 5 episodes. I mean, either not having enough or not having too many.
From here, so many voices ringing in my ear. Yes, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's it.
All right. Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same page. I mean, honestly, Dragon, at this point, my enjoyment of the show is pretty much on autopilot to the fact, like, I like these characters, I like these actors, I like the interactions, I think the cast has good chemistry. That's pretty much the only thing that these episodes have going for it at this point. I mean, long gone are the days of like the season 3 Miguel rehabilitation arc and stuff like that, or actual any sort of character arcs. It's like we're really spinning our wheels with the drama. The big cliffhanger was Tori, and to give him credit, they milked. They used every part of the Buffalo with the Tori subplot. Dragon.
Oh, come on! Don't use Buffalo in that context, man.
Well, no, I'm just saying they really did. Like they got everything that they could have gotten out of that Tori conflict. I think one thing that I like about this season is the setting is nice. It's nice to get a new location, but at the same time, I feel like we've kind of lost a lot of the identity, like with going to the tournament, we don't have those sort of like more bit part players. We don't have Bert except for in the delightful, he pops up like very briefly, but the best Bert scene in the season is just the idea of Stingray using him in courts as a witness. Like, we have like little bits and pieces of the crew. Like, we don't have anyone from the deal. It just feels like a lot of the identity of the show has kind of been wiped away in favor of just this big, like, all right, we're gonna fight and we're gonna fight some more. And next episode, guess what, Dragon?
More fight.
We're gonna fight. All right.
So
with that in mind, let's just what?
And on platforms.
Yes, we'll get into the platforms. I have things to say about the platforms. Okay, with that in mind, let's get into it. Episode 6, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing. There's like 2 words here that I'm gonna have a hard time with. So,
well, you know what the other one is?
Not really.
Barcelona. It's the place, Tiki.
No, okay, no, I'm saying this Dragon. This.
I thought. Okay, you meant literally this episode.
No, I'm sorry. Okay, so I'm gonna give him my best shot. Benvinguitas a Brazil. Benvinguitas a Barcelona. Yeah, that was terrible.
Which translates to "Welcome to Barcelona."
Whitest men on the internet, people. All right. Anyways. Yes. So I don't know. I think that the best thing I can say about this episode, like I said, is just we've got the new location, which is cool. I do like the chemistry between all the characters. I do like that throughout the season, while I do think that we go to the Tory well a little bit too much with the drama, generally speaking, it's kind of continuing what I was liking about the first part, where I did relatively enjoy the kind of like smaller soap opera style beefs that the people were having with each other. I think throughout the course of this chunk of the season, literally all those beefs got resolved way too easily. I think that's a big issue I have with this chunk. But I do like that we're kind of continuing stuff. We got Devin and her guilt. We've got the Eli and Hawk, the Eli and Dimitri debacle with the MIT thing. We got, of course, Robbie and Miguel always having tension with each other. We got the girlfriend drama. There's a lot of brewing tension. I do like the one of the things, Dragon. Honestly, if I were to name an MVP as far as just characters and like the one person who I actually think has a really solid arc throughout this chunk of episodes, is it fair to say it's Robbie?
Well, I mean, in what way, Tiki?
In the way that, like, in this season, like, I really do like, obviously we got the stuff with Tori, but I also really like how Robbie is kind of like, the sins of the father, like him potentially taking the first steps to following in his father's footsteps with the alcoholism and stuff like that. I don't think any of it's particularly deep, but God damn it, I'm trying here, man.
Yeah, I had some. Well, okay, so episode 6 overall for me is, I think this one of the bunch was a very sloppy reintroduction. It was not a good omen for part 2 after all the hype. It was. Here's the thing. I think it was basically. I think it was stupid to kind of force this. We had a lot of forced stuff in that we kind of reestablished here, like Daniel and Johnny bickering yet again over the whole basically over the whole Tory debacle at the end of the first part, which was a really good idea for a conflict. Just the idea they had very different stances on how someone should process grief, and that ended up alienating Tori. That's not a bad idea. But for that to kind of completely dissolve into, we're not on speaking terms. We're next to each other. It's like, right. It just feels like we're so close to we're in the midst of the finish line here, guys. We can't go back to season 1. Come on.
Yeah.
And this keeps happening. This is season 4 all over again.
All right. Kogias says he's not a fan of the show, just here for a cameo. Hey there, Kogias. You can be like, I don't know, the random dude who pops up, where we flash back to him. I don't even know who the fuck that is anymore. Whatever. He's here. You know who I'm talking about, Dragon. It's that guy.
Okay.
No, the guy in the fucking who puts Daniel in the dog cage. That guy.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, that's the reference I was trying to make.
Oh, right, gotcha. You're
Like
going all the way
very
back.
quick cameo, very unnecessary, very quick cameo. I don't even know
Yeah.
who the fuck he is.
So I thought you were literally talking about the commenters. Like, who the heck is he talking
No,
about?
no, I'm talking about do you know who that guy was? Did
Well,
you
because
recognize that dude?
because of the clip, I know who it is.
Who is it? Tell me who it is,
Well,
because I'm
he's just,
genuinely
if I'm
curious.
right, I'm pretty sure he's like just the nameless, one of the nameless goons that Daniel LaRusso kicks in Karate Kid Part 3.
Okay,
Like
that's just
during the
fucking
bonsai,
desperate, right?
like during the bonsai shop fight. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's him.
Yeah, that's just desperate.
Yeah. Well, again, they
Anyways,
brought everyone else back. The only person they can't seem to get until maybe the last 5 episodes is Hilary Swank, but
Hillary
everyone
Swank.
else.
Yeah, yeah.
It's interesting that she's like the glue. She's like the last piece of the puzzle.
I don't think we're gonna get her, but we'll see. Anyways,
Listen,
do you want to talk
they've literally done
Chosen?
everyone else with this guy. They've done
Yeah, I
every
know.
single other person.
So I forget if Chosen makes his appearance here or in the next episode. I'm pretty sure
No,
it's the next
it's here.
episode. It's
No, it's
here.
here.
Okay.
So the overall, I'm sorry, to go through before we get to build the Chosen, if I may, just
Yes.
real quick. So again, it just feels like we forced imbalance and kind of a lot of our conflicts here. Like we have tension with the captains and with Robbie. My issue is not. We have a few interesting bits with Robbie here because I empathize with Robbie in the position that he's in, where he obviously has feelings for Tori, but Tori is she's grieving and she's go and he respects the decision, but all this like the tension within the ranks of like, can we trust Robbie? He really seems off his game. We keep saying that a lot. Man, Robbie, are you okay? You seem off your game. Get your head on straight. Yada yada.
Yeah, I
And
mean, I what I mean more is like I think he's like literally one of the only characters who they even bother to give any development to, honestly.
well, even so, the development that I wanted and I expected was like, okay, Robbie's going to show some leadership chops, which he's always kind of had in the show. And
Uh-huh.
yet, the big moments here, and he really stinks. He really stinks at it. Like
And
Miguel's all
you
the
know what kind of
leadership.
pissed me off about that is that he doesn't even like. I feel like we were kind of building to like a big like, okay, you know what? He's going to give Miguel the headband. That doesn't happen. It might
No,
happen
doesn't
in
happen.
part 3. Doesn't happen here.
Yeah.
Anyways,
There's a question if we were going to have this guy Taika in part 3 at this point, but
yeah, it's kind of like a Hunger Games catching fire ending.
Yeah.
Anyways,
So again, Hawk and Dimitri's MIT feud's it's really dumb that it's become
it's
this
really
big a
fucking
deal.
draining. And do we have to really make a big plot point out of a goddamn fart joke of all things? Come on, guys.
Yeah. So again, it is ridiculous that we're stuck with this conflict, first of all, and then just here's the thing, we're stuck with all these little petty conflicts when this really should be like Race for Your Life, Charlie Brown, and it's not.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like I keep saying, like I think Miguel, like he has one episode where the writers very much force in, like, oh no, we don't have anything for Miguel to do. His mother gets sick, but she's fine. I feel like
We'll get there. Episode 3, I got rants for episode 3.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do.
Okay, so we have this disastrous, and this is disastrous in a fun way. It kind of starts off in a fun way, and then it kind of goes from there. So we have this disastrous sensei mingling kind of section of the episode. So I like the weapons booth. I love the kind of like we have this portal like kind of like a guy trying. It's basically like a booth at a convention. Essentially, is the idea. He's like showcasing like sponsorship of like, hey, we make kind of karate apparel and like weapons and stuff you can hang in the dojos. And Johnny's just kind of looking at like the cool like like the new modern nunchucks, and we have Kreese here showing off his kind of checkoffs, or in this case, John Kreese's knife.
Yes. It is.
I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation, but again, this is our big namesake for the last episode of the season. By the way, the Unjangdio.
There we go. I'll take it.
Anyway, so the Unjangdio knife, which Kreese has, and again, we're kind of setting up this plot point, which in retrospect we now know, okay, that's what that was, and we really did literally like Chekhov's gun with only a blade.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like that's kind of some nice tension between there. We have like this third parties kind of reacting. Oh, what am I stepping into here? I'm just trying to showcase these these fun karate weapons, and these guys are planning on killing each other potentially.
And I feel like every episode of this season is basically just like Johnny Lawrence gets into some like not even fight, but just argument with a jerk.
So I mean, that kind of stuff worked for me because again, that's getting back to the roots of the show. Only Johnny's been through a lot here. We do stuff like okay, so Johnny he's really had up to here with Kreese. Kreese seemingly, he's escaped from prison and yet scot free for reasons. Again, I'm going to rant that when we get into a little bit later other legalese in the season. But let's just say we just have. It's like Kreese basically shows him that knife to say like, hey, I know you have some feelings about me here, but yeah, I'm not gonna be careful. As we established at the end of last season, he's willing to kill Johnny after that. Not last season, last part. He went into like the weird, trippy, kind of cave, for the Vision quest, and the cave is like, I'm gonna kill Johnny Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
So he's prepared to do it, seemingly, with this bit here. So we kind of reestablished that. But again, on the whole, though, like bits like Johnny getting into it with Sensei Wolf over the steak, like that's gold. That's great, just like him. And what I love about it is that even though Johnny has kind of evolved, and he's kind of grown up into, kind of getting a second chance of fatherhood and everything, he's still like, I like that he has like a sixth sense for people and that he can tell the steak guy's going to be trouble. And he ultimately is very much so. And I love that.
Sure.
Like he knows, like this guy's just he's a big jerk, and later on they find out, oh god, he's working for another bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's great, and then we have like all this kind of some fun momentum building here, and then Daniel's learned about the Seikai Taikai history with Miyagi, and plot's happening, and then Chosen shows up. And as much as we love Chosen, he's kind of a parody of himself in this episode.
Chosen in this whole chunk of episodes, he has very much been Flanderized.
Refresh me on the exact definition of Flanderization, would you?
Okay, so basically, like when Ned Flanders first appeared on The Simpsons, like religion was part of his character, but it wasn't literally the only element of him, right?
Yeah.
Like, he was a multi-layered guy. He was a good husband. He was kind of like the perfect rival to Homer. And now it's like Ned Flanders, anytime he shows up on screen, just like religion, he's the religious guy.
So he's basically, you're saying it's so Flanderization is the dilution and over characterization of a character.
Exactly.
Then, right? Okay,
so
I got
Chosen,
you.
I think basically like Chosen has always had kind of like a silly side to him in this show at least. But this chunk of episodes just like he's nothing but silly. Like, I mean, we take it genuinely like an arc with Kamiko that could have actually like, the heartbreak of that could have actually been pretty potent. You know what I mean? We could have explored some pretty interesting like emotional depths with that, but no, it's a joke. It's a literal joke.
So I really, I this was embarrassing for Jake. I think we all really liked Chosen, what they did with him in Cobra Kai up to this point.
I really liked season 5 Chosen for sure.
Yeah. I mean, Chosen had like an awesome knuckle down drag out fight with Terry Silver, which almost got him killed. It was pretty epic.
That's probably the closest that any of the main characters have actually come to dying.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Chosen looked like he was pretty dead. He was bleeding out in the water and everything, but miraculously survived. But that's the thing. So Chosen here, he's drowning his sorrows over most assumedly. Now, again, it could be wrong given the path that we're kind of laying out for him here with the other sensei who we'll talk about. But it's my first impression is I wonder if you had the same thing as, okay, the Towel Man was a misunderstanding that perhaps maybe like her brother or something. I don't know.
I mean, that was kind of my assumption, but then, like you said, like given be kind of awkward if like in part 3 we shoehorn in like a love triangle between Ponytail Woman and Kamiko.
Yeah. Well, Sensei Kim, but yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. The only reason I just finished watching episode 10 and the whole like I'm gonna rip your ponytail out of your head is fresh in my mind.
But yeah, I mean I'm inclined. Here's the thing. I want to give it credit, but after the writing this season, I don't know. But let's just say in the spirit of giving the show credit, it really does feel like it would be, we got to accept that life's not always going to end up like, kind of sunshine or really. We're not always going to have like an alley come back. It's not always going to be, it's not always going to end up great. Like, she's going to come back and we're all going to feel all nice and good around Christmas time. We can't always do that.
And like I said, I do think that the show could have explored that,
Yeah, like I think,
no,
for example,
it's just like, it's literally a joke. Like this man, like potentially losing the love of his life because he didn't act on it soon enough. It's a joke. It's a ha-ha.
And here's the other thing too. If you want to do a drunk chosen, that would be maybe like you could do like a nod to the old drunken master kind of thing. Like what? And here's the thing: it's not even that, not even drunken master. Miyagi
This show's never done a drunken master, has it? Come to think of it.
Well,
I guess maybe some stuff with Johnny in the first season or two, maybe.
Kind of.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. So with that in mind, I'm saying you can kind of do like a throwback to Miyagi when he was kind of drinking his sorrows, in which you could have chosen like facing genuine heartbreak. We have like a comedic cutaway to it was the guy in the towel, but we don't need to linger on it. Like you have poor Chosen, he brings a flower, man in towel, he's really hung up about it.
Him going nuts over the flowers, that is just ridiculous.
No, that's my point. So if we had him just legitimately just kind of he shows up drunk at the wrong time, but but he hasn't gone completely wackadoodle there, but he's being like, oh, where's the steak? It is like like, oh, he chose
in any professional tournament, the man would have been kicked out. His entire dojo would have been disqualified right then and there.
Most likely, yes.
Over that,
so that's like
over the flowers.
So you could have had like a legitimate, like, okay, kind of like Miyagi. We're seeing like there's some sorrow here. There's a loneliness. He feels like he put himself out there. Like poor Chosen. We should be doing that, maybe like sympathy, but he's not like getting.
Maybe have a couple gags where he's getting a little drunk and maybe running his mouth a little bit. That's fine because, like I said, Chosen. There's always a little bit of silliness to his character in the show, but to just have it be a joke, anyways, I feel him
breaking all the flowers absolutely is an insult. That's like, come on, man! Like what Chosen was a wonderful character with a great arc, and this is we just sullied him here.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Anyway, let's see. So the way in general, this is going to bridge into all the other stuff. So we the way the Seikai Taikai works is essentially kind of like the again. I keep going back to my go-tos of Race for Your Life, Charlie Brown, and the Rocket Power TV movie finale when they go.
That's a very apt comparison, honestly.
Because it's a sporting competition, which there's different events, and in this case, like okay, we've seen the tournament, we've seen the All Valleys, we know how this works, and we've kind of upgraded the All Valley, which we had like different like we kind of had like the boys and girls divisions for that. Now with that in mind, it's like, okay, we've already varied the All Valley. How do we do it from here? So they've come like, and there's going to be a bunch of other kind of wacky kind of summer campy challenges that we're going to have going on here.
Mm-hmm.
And
we're going to have stereotypes, lots and lots of stereotypes, Irish stereotypes, German stereotypes.
Okay, in its defense, it is.
You can't say I'm wrong. You can't.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm saying that to a point. It is international, and they have to stress that somehow.
It's like I get it, and honestly, it's kind of like in every martial arts tournament, martial arts movie where there's a world tournament. This is about as deep as you're going to get, but
yeah, it does feel. But by the end, does feel like F Russia kind of like.
Yes, and then the Irish ones are just pretty much like we got Irish accents. That's it. That's our whole character.
Yeah. Anyway, so with that, here's the thing: when you look at it broad scope, a few of these kind of like varied ways we're going to have like competitions between the dojos is kind of creative, and some of them are just like, what does this have to do with karate?
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, protect the captain. That's a good idea. That's a solid it's kind of like working as a team, and it's the whole protecting the egg challenge, like kind of training exercise we had with Chosen. That's pretty good. That's inventive. That's a good way to kind of start us off into this. And best part of the first episode, honestly, the only good part, in my opinion, of episode 1, the introduction of the Iron Dragons was legitimately really cool. You see, like Axel and Vanya, like everyone else is like they automatically, our Cobra Kai guys are going to charge with a strategy, and they're outnumbered, and then the whole front row they just take a knee. It's like, nope, we're not needed. Again, actually take
Exactly.
three of
Yeah.
them out single-handedly. That's really cool. That's a great introduction. And again, the fact they're connected to the state guy is a great punchline to, like the guy giving Johnny the business is actually a force to be reckoned with. That's what I'm saying. There was like a little bit, there was a raised eyebrow at the end of this episode. Like, what?
Mhm.
Plus, they got a really cool dojo name that I'm sure Johnny wishes he thought of.
All right.
All right.
Okay, moving on. Let's see. Sorry. We got episode 7, Dogs in the Fight. I'm not going to lie. This is probably my favorite episode, even though it's a little, the titular thing that goes on, the actual dog cage thing it's pretty silly. I'm not going to lie. But I do think that the pit fight is definitely the best fight that we have in this part, although I do have notes. What do you think of this episode?
So it really does feel like Miyagi-Do is they're a little too much on their heels towards the top of this, where it feels like, man, they really I know they're going to be a little outgunned, little bit of wow factor with all the other dojos in there, but I don't know. It feels like it's getting increasingly harder to buy they're actually going to survive the Saikai Taikai in terms of proceed getting to the big end match. I know
But
we're
at the
supposed to
same
be some
time, it's like
tension.
obviously we know like with 5 episodes, like what are we gonna do? Like have 5 episodes at the end where they're hanging around Barcelona, like watching the tournament as spectators.
Yeah, well, yeah. Primarily, though, it really is just this whole thing of like, okay, we need stakes, and it feels like we know these guys are capable of doing some great stuff, but it feels like because they're kind of like having all this kind of discourse amongst the team, like that's holding them back, and that's the kind of thing I don't want to see. I want to see them like at their best and challenged. I don't want to see them like we know that we know they're really good at this point, but it kind of makes it kind of hard to gauge. Like, man, the Saigataka is really tough.
Mhm.
So that kind of bothers me. But the episode 2 though, this is where I like how we structure. I like how we're shifting things. I like how Johnny is in the driver's seat here as the sensei, and he's trying to get them to
This
band
episode is
together. And
pretty much the closest that we get to like classic Johnny, where he's got his heart in the right place, but he's going about it the wrong way.
yeah, which again is what I like with the character. I like that Johnny is for example. The stuff with him and Devin is top tiers. We had a really fantastic moment here where Devin admits to what happened with Kenny and how she feels guilty and everything. And I love how Billy Zabka plays that scene where he plays it again being a guy who's going to about to be a father to a daughter. He plays it really well.
Mhm.
And again, the whole idea there being too like Devin is kind of like in a sense like a surrogate, kind of like we kind of saw this in the first part of this season where he's where Devin is he's been putting pressure and a lot of pride into Devin, maybe because he's going to be a girl dad, as he likes to call himself. He's going to be a girl dad. So I mean, it's interesting putting him in that position. But so we have like moments like that, which is great. But by the same token, though, we have a lot of Captain BS where like Robbie really has to step up, and clearly Miguel is the far better captain. He calls us into question. Like
I honestly think it would have been super satisfying if when they're all standing on the platform after Miguel has that awesome kick that we see displayed in the thumbnail here. I think it would have been super satisfying if right then and there Robbie would have taken off the headband and been like, "No, you lead the team. You earned this."
Yep.
And honestly, I kind of feel like we're inevitably going to get that moment in part 3, but I just feel like that moment really should have either been like like the switch, like the thing that kind of like turns things around for Miyagi-Do in the second half of this part, or maybe like something towards the end of this part that kind of like transitions into part 3. Like I think with so few episodes left and with the tournament, we don't even know what's going to go on with the cliffhanger. It's like I kind of feel like we sort of blew the opportunity to have that plot point that they clearly want to set up. I don't know. Just there's some awkward pacing with the way that the plot points are getting resolved here.
Real quick, Tiggy, can you change the crawl?
Yeah. What do you want?
Well, it's supposed to be dog in the fight.
Oh, just singular, not plural.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, my bad.
Anyway, so here's the thing. I mean, just from a plotting perspective, again, I like that we shift focus because we have two senseis. We have Johnny on display here. Now, the way in which we write Daniel out, again, this whole Miyagi mystery thing that we started in part one is really
I hate it, and
unnecessary.
I hate what they do with it in the last episode even more. I'm not gonna lie. I
It's
just the more that they keep going with this Miyagi shit, the worse it gets.
I gotta be honest. We know for a fact that, and again, the whole reason Cobra Kai even happened the way it did is Ralph Macchio, he's very protective of Pat Morita, and I'm really
Right,
shocked that we kind of went
right.
this direction. Ultimately, he has to have like final say on that sort of thing. Given he said he wouldn't do the show unless they did right by him.
Okay,
And I don't know.
but Ralph, I want you to look out your window, and there's a dump truck full of money. So if you could just sign off on this, that'd be great. If you could just sign off on horrific Pat Morita in murder mode, that would be awesome, Ralph.
Yeah, it feels very. I don't know. It feels this whole thing. Honestly, it's the whole thing that he
It's
really. It just
classic,
seems
like late season. We can't figure out. Like honestly, I feel like Daniel as a character has been irrelevant for a couple seasons now. If I'm being completely honest. I mean, I hate to say it because Ralph Macchio is a lot of fun, but I just feel like for the past couple seasons, all we've really been doing is just kind of spinning the wheels with, like reigniting the Johnny versus Daniel rivalry. Kind of like having the whole issue of him potentially playing favorites with his kids. I just there's not really a lot there for him at this point. I feel like the Miyagi stuff is there just to give him something to do, and it's obvious that it's there just to give him something to do.
I mean, it's maybe less of that. It's just more like we already reached the end of what his arc for the whole series is supposed to be. He's
Exactly,
supposed to be.
exactly.
He's supposed to get along with Johnny. That's his arc. Okay,
And that
that's
happened at like the end of season 4.
yeah, like the end of four, and yeah.
So yeah, we've been spinning our wheels with Daniel Son for a couple seasons now.
Well, yeah. So the point being, it just feels really stupid. It feels like a really stupid right thing from a writing standpoint that okay, he's gonna leave his students to go chase this Miyagi lead that was very suspiciously just kind of dropped in his lap. You didn't go call Gunther like say, hey, is this your doing? Like, no, it's just
Right,
like
right,
there's
right.
an envelope waiting for you at the desk, and I'm just
Can
gonna
we
go
talk about
chase
how
this
pleasant
lead.
a character Gunter is? I do like
Oh yeah,
Gunter.
I love Gunter, man. I always loved Gunter. Doesn't matter. Ever since he showed up, he had that great exchange. He and Johnny got along famously
Yeah, yeah,
over
yeah. Right,
Rocky.
right.
It's delightful. And of course, we do really great stuff with Gunter by the end of
Oh
the
yeah, he's got
season.
some great moments in that final fight for sure. Yeah.
As I think so, we like Gunter here. I just want to make that very salient a point there. We like Gunter.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, but yeah, so it just feels really dumb that the way in which we took LaRusso out of the equation, plus like we seemingly got him entrapped in like a criminal enterprise. In reality, it's not that, but it's kind of that. These guys are being paid to do nasty stuff, but primarily for him. I mean, they're like dogs in cages, though. So I, I don't know. It just feels like really okay.
Let's
We've
be honest.
kidnapped
Throughout this
them.
whole thing, did anyone ever think it wasn't Silver behind it?
I mean, again, he was supposed to be in prison, so no, I didn't think it was
Yeah,
Silver, but
yeah. Well, just knowing what the
well, I
show
mean,
is
the
about, I guess.
misdirect was that it was Crease, and I thought it was Crease. I didn't think it was Silver because again, Silver in prison. But as we've seen, prison is not an actual safe
Prison is more of like
country.
a suggestion. Like, hey, if you want to rehabilitate yourself, maybe go to prison. But if not, if you don't feel like it, it's totally fine. It's no big deal.
Yeah, okay. So I'll talk about it now. Okay, I
Yeah,
still
just
think it's
jump
really
into it. I know you're
I
chomping at
I
the
I
bit.
I think it's so stupid that we just gave Crease like a get out of jail free card. Like he faked his death and escaped prison. He assaulted like a doctor and guards. Like it's at least minimum three people that he's hurt to
Uh-huh.
get out of prison. They're not dead, but he hurt them. Clearly, he was a damn doctor. He impersonated a medical doctor. He escaped prison, faked his death, and beat people up, and he's able to get out of it scot free and have it all swept under the rug because who wants to charge a vet with who basically who can claim PTSD?
Yeah. This show's universe PTSD is basically a
So
literal
you've
get
heard
out
it,
of jail
folks. If
free
you're in
card.
prison, if you want to show, we know a lawyer, so we can tell you this is true. Okay,
Oh,
if
God.
you if you go to prison and you are a veteran, you have PTSD, just use those skills Rambo style. Break out of prison. Don't kill anyone, but break out of prison. And you'll be fine because no one's going to press charges. You will be absolutely fine. So make sure you save that Jello. Don't hurt anyone, but save that Jello. Take a shivving if you can.
Oh, man.
That's what
Yes.
this show's abdicating. We're abdicating. No, scot free. So again, look. Here's the thing. They already had a good enough reason. He escaped prison, but he's not in the states, which is why he could escape. Again, it's like the whole. It's like essentially it's a diplomatic immunity kind of thing. It's more of like an extradition thing, more accurately. But you know what I mean. It's like so long as he doesn't return to the states, he'll be fine. Like that's a
Like a
good
Roman
idea.
Polanski kind of deal.
What?
Like a Roman Polanski.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like that already, to me, in the first half, we established that was we learned that he's alive, and that's why that's why we can't lay a finger on. That's a good enough reason. Why have this
Mhm.
stupid thing which is like, no, they're not going to press charges. Like
Well, I
they
mean,
clear
and
all
then we
that
get
up.
into like the ridiculousness of Terry Silver being out of jail.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just all of that's just the legalese in this show. Here's the legalese and then the logic of like, okay, we're just going from to kidnapping and then ultimately murder. We're gonna allow all this to happen.
All right, but in the midst of all that, I will say the platform fight was really cool. I really enjoyed the platform
I
fight.
agree. Now, admittedly though, the platform fight, while awesome and I love it, it is kind of spinning its wheels on like how to liven things up and like what does this have to do with karate? It's cool, but you'll never
I
fit
have
into.
my one nitpick for the platform fight is I'm sure there's a ladder, but they never show anyone climbing up the ladder.
I saw like there's like a little stairway, but it's like the thing looks too high off the ground for it to
Yeah,
work.
that bothered me. I'm not gonna lie. That did bother me watching the fight.
It's a
I'm like,
look. It is a
how are
cool
they getting up
visual.
there so fast?
It's a cool visual. It's a cool idea. Now remind me, the platform isn't raising mid-fight, right? It's just dangling.
It's just dangling there. Yeah.
So here's the thing. Because of that, it's a little pointless. But here's the thing. It would be more of a challenge if the thing like raised and lowered a little bit. At least to me, that's a real challenge for you there. But it's
Like
like
kind of like had the like sway of like a suspension bridge or
yeah,
something.
that's what I'm saying. Like the whole,
Right,
like
right, yeah.
the whole. It's the thing that we saw them train with, like like the whole platform on the water, kind of like, but in midair with padding underneath it. That's I think I would have liked that a little bit more. But that said, it's a cool visual and it looks neat. But when you ultimately look at it, it's like so. Like look at this thumbnail, kids. Look, they're looking up at us. That's pretty much all it is because it's not moving up and down. It's like okay, it's pretty much like if we were on the ground, but there's pads under us. So that's there's a little bit of a slight tumble. That's kind of cool, right?
Right, exactly.
See, again, cool in concept, but without like the again, I don't know if it's a budgetary or a safety thing, but because we're not raising and lowering the platform, it's it's like this is different, right? It's not the All Valley again. It's suspended.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
suspended and foreign.
All right.
Anyway, so let's see. So okay, so anyway, so after this, Miguel has an awesome win. It's a 2-on-1 fight again. Miguel yet again continues to be one of the coolest characters in this show. Let's give that kid a superhero movie. Oh wait.
That being said, man, boy howdy is the actor who plays Miguel legitimately the oldest looking out of all the quote unquote teenagers on this show.
It doesn't help they let him grow his hair out.
No, and he just straight up like trust me, as someone whose facial hair grows very quickly, I know the struggle of the 5 o'clock shadow. But man, it's like they just like that kid's got it bad, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, well, again, you go for 6 seasons. Yeah, it's at the very least they're not gonna.
Yeah, I know,
they're not
but like
gonna
Hawk still looks like he could believably be in like at least like college, maybe not high school, but college, like
it helps that he has an iconic look, though. I think that's the determining.
sure. I guess so, yeah.
He's got like he's got a big broad like design with the giant, literally a USA mohawk going on there, so that helps. Hell, I'll tell you this though, Samantha LaRusso still looks like a teenager.
Yeah.
So I think they lucked out on that one. Anyway, so let's see. Okay, so anyway, so after this, we turn up the stakes because basically for reasons ultimately pointless reasons, might I add, because he's just going to come back anyway. We get Miguel out of the equation because we still need Robbie to struggle with being captain here. Where Carmen, she's in danger of a miscarriage. Johnny and Miguel, they head back.
All right, so that brings us to Snakes on a Plane. Oh boy, this episode's a piping hot mess.
I hated this episode.
I think the one part of the episode I do enjoy is Johnny Lawrence being able to be the public hero for the the loudmouth rich asshole who's on the plane. That stuff I enjoyed. Other than that, this episode's a goddamn mess.
Here's the thing. Honestly, that even because Ian Miguel does it, not Johnny, which I think is refreshing, but still, there's only one thing I really like in this episode. And it's not even like a good thing. I just kind of think it's kind of fun. I do like Chosen and Sensei Kim's dynamic. I think that's kind of nice. That's where we're buying Chosen back here. Like, okay, like pairing these two. Again, I really have liked Sensei Kim. I love the history with that character. I love that she was kind of Kreese's early pupil, and there's a lot of respect there. And she has given him a second chance. I love everything with her, and I think she looks really cool with the awesome weaponized ponytail. She's really cool. I like.
Yeah, I feel you.
And I like that she is kind of an equivalent to Chosen, so it kind of makes sense if these two are to bump into each other. There's similarities there, and this whole
and it's kind of like an opposite attract kind of personality dynamic.
So I thought that was really cute. Uh-huh. And here's the thing, even though we have that moment and I like it, we send it off a cliff with the whole she gets upset when he uses the word mistake. Yep. Come on, Sensei Kim. You know for a fact he didn't mean it like that. You were learning it too.
Dragon, everything in this show's like professional wrestling. Literally everything has to be conflict.
You see what I mean though? It's like they had a
I know exactly there. Yeah.
It's like clearly he didn't mean it like that. And she's smart enough to know that. Anyway, so let's talk about all the things that are really wrong with this episode. So again, for one, just with the title itself, cute title does not necessitate a plot here. Where such a pointless thing.
Wouldn't it have been fun if Kreese just literally recreated Snakes on a Plane?
Oh God!
Would not have been fun. Come on, tell me that would
have been fun. No, okay. Look, in all seriousness, Kreese on a flight, just being like the intimidating everyone does sound really funny to me, though.
Right.
Or better yet, Kreese and Johnny Lawrence stuck on a flight together. There we go. Okay. Problem here is the choice the choice in characters for said plane conflict. Okay, because one, it's so pointless to fly Johnny and Miguel down there to help, basically literally in a helpless situation.
One scene, Dragon. We get one scene with Carmen, and it's literally just I'm fine. The baby's fine. You can fly back now.
See, for starters, it's a helpless situation. What are they going to do but worry, okay?
Right,
for starters. Right. And I understand if there's like a life and death kind of thing, which initially they make it seem they kind of might have been, all right? So in that respect, I can kind of get
the moment where Miguel sees the bloody bed sheets, the actor does kind of give it his all in that moment. I'll give him credit there.
That's a great moment. And again, I hate to say it, but it's like, I don't want anything to happen to Carmen, but the only way to necessitate, okay, this is a big curveball I didn't see coming, where we've either killed off or have potentially, portrayed a miscarriage on Cobra Kai, when this was really important. This is an important victory for Johnny. To take that away from him would have been really, I'm not saying it was something we needed, but it would have been an interesting turn to take.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And for him not to go back to Seikai Taikai,
literally this whole episode just feels like, okay, it's the middle episode of this chunk of episodes. It just so feels like a standalone conflict plot that's just forced in there as filler.
But that's the thing. So one, it's pointless just to send them home and then send them back.
Right.
Again, the whole thing of and we need to get Kenny on a plane. Well, not really, because we're just going to send Miguel back anyway.
I mean, in theory, I do like how the episode opens with Johnny calling Danielle and being like, "You need to get Kenny Payne on a plane," and I'm like, "Yeah, let's go," because like our boy Kenny was done dirty last season, and God,
yeah.
I don't really think they did enough to redeem that, honestly.
Oh, it's Amanda, not Danielle.
Oh God, I'm sorry.
But yeah, no, that's probably their shipping name. But no, it's Amanda.
But I feel like I've made that mistake before. I'm sorry. That's stupid.
Anyway, so again, one, pointless to do that. Two, literally nothing happens. They have nothing to do on a plane because you have two agreeable characters, and they realize this. And it's like we had to literally. Miguel is just is somewhat cheesed off at Johnny. No real good. Here's the thing. It's Johnny's. We made Johnny too stupid yet again in this case here, where it's like he's trying to speed up the flight. Mm-hmm. Which I think it'd be better if he was just nervous. If he was a nervous flyer, honestly, I think that might be funnier. But no, it's like, and maybe Miguel could like help him through it, maybe in a moment of vulnerability. But it's the fact that Johnny's trying to speed up the flight, which already is fruitless and kind of dumb. But look, Johnny's not exactly known for being the sharpest tool in the shed in social situations. So that's fine. But it's just the fact that Miguel gets mad at him for no reason, and they do the whole like first class coach separation shenanigans with him. Mm-hmm. It's like an episode of Seinfeld all of a sudden.
Oh, very much so with that.
Like literally the plain episode of Seinfeld where we have Jerry got the ride in first class, Elaine was stuck in coach. And we punch out a drunk. That's all we do. We have to punch out a drunk because we didn't put grease on the plane. Mm-hmm. So, and again, somehow the police get involved, but yet no consequences. Like he says, like, good for you, Johnny Lawrence. You're like, yeah, thanks for the ride, officer. It's just like no reason.
No, that is funny. Yeah.
I mean, it feels like it's a nice kind of poster moment for like, hey, the police force, they're not all bad. Like, hey, look, you punched out bad drunks on the plane. We're gonna let you slide. Isn't that nice?
Sure.
Yeah. Anyway, so Sam, yet again, she's here. I mean, I like the idea that Sam is kind of bonding. We see Axel. Axel is being abused by his sensei, and she's sympathetic to that. That's good, and there's a nice little kind of beat between them. But yet again, Sam, through no fault of her own in this case, she's making goo eyes with the boys, with Axel here.
Oh God, no! I forgot. I legitimately, it's been so long. I legitimately forgot that this was like a big issue with her character.
It's not even that it was like a huge problem with her character. It's just the fact.
No, it was in the beginning though, Dragon. It really was though. If you remember, I mean, it was like.
It was so.
Like she had no one to blame but herself for getting herself into the relationship drama.
I love it. It's really funny in hindsight because you go back to like the top of season 3 after the whole karate brawl at the school, and we have like the mother saying, "Oh man, she's a real easy girl, isn't she? Like she's dating all these boys." It's like no, it's like Amanda's saying, "No, that's not accurate." She's obviously struggling with. Well, yeah, she kind of did. Now it's with this guy, and again. It's just in this case, it was not really her fault, but she was just being nice to him. And this guy's like,
no. I hear you. I don't think it's her fault either. I definitely think that the stuff in the first couple seasons is her fault. But here, it's just I didn't even write. I just think it's kind of funny that it's like, okay, we're going back to this. We're going back to like guys all throughout karate. They just can't resist the allure of Sam LaRusso.
Yeah, I guess she's that cute or something, I guess,
I guess so. She's just got that girl next door charm.
I guess. Anyway, I think the idea being she's like the only person that's probably had like a nice word to say to Axel, and I think it kind of like landed with. I love that we play Axel like the Winter Soldier, by the way, which I think is really funny, or more so Ivan Drago, but it's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally, we call him like the Winter Soldier. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, so again, it's nice that this somewhat relationship saves her in the end because there's a big karate brawl and he was like coming to her defense, so that's good. Also, almost gets him killed. I'll have he almost gets killed because of that.
Mm-hmm.
He got really lucky, this Axel. Here's the thing, I like this guy. I want to be very clear. I do like this Axel character though. I think he had some depth to him of the bunch.
Of the, I think of the like miscellaneous characters who are in the other like non-Cobra Kai Miyagi-Do dojos, he's definitely the best one. I'll tell you the worst one. I already forgot her name, but the influencer one.
You mean you mean Zara.
Yeah, because Dragon, I gotta tell you, man, I am so sick of this character trope of like their one character trait is that they're an influencer.
Yeah, it's not great.
All right.
I mean, look, I like the idea that we have like a most dangerous agent who's very much sunshine and rainbows, like the the girlfriends of our kind of our geeky duo with with Eli and Dimitri, kind of like Moon and God, I'm blanking on the other girl's name, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, kind of like them. Like I think that's kind of interesting having someone who committed to the karate, to the karate stuff. And here's the thing, I like that in every dojo. There's always like the lead, most impressive, student is the one who has like the conflict and the dilemma is the most interesting of the bunch. Because we had that with Miguel. We've had that with Miguel. We've kind of had that with with Robbie. On the Miyagi-Do side
Even
of
like
things.
Kenny Payne with the Terry Silver era
Uh-huh.
of Cobra Kai.
Yep, Kenny Payne, and then we have it here with Axel for the Iron Dragons. Like
It's
again,
true.
always like
It's true.
again, and they're always switching sides and everything. It always kind of works out. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, he seemed to be most interesting. Okay, meanwhile, so the Miyagi, speaking of more not so great stuff. So again, all this teens on a beach stuff, which again, we gotta have teens on the beach because that's where we met Allie in Karate Kid. They were all on the beach, and that's where Johnny and Daniel mixed it up. So the
Yes.
Miyagi-Dos are drunkenly partying, and Dimitri, Dimitri is just like a real.
Pretty much. I gotta tell you, man. I think Dimitri, like, when the show first started, I hated him. As the show went on, I started to like him, and now I'm kind of back to hating him.
Yeah, we really pulled a bad number on Dimitri here, where it's like, you know what? I did like Dimitri. I liked that he had like the steady girlfriend and everything. We kind of saw an arc there, and then it's like, you know what? He's gonna dance with another girl, and he's a big jerk, and he's not dealing with. I think he's very hypocritical too. Like, how could you rat me out like that? Take responsibility for your own choices, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, and the whole MIT thing. He's just Dimitri.
The MIT thing is fucking insufferable. I mean,
honestly,
I gotta tell you, the writers did a good job of getting in Hawk's headspace with how fucking annoying it is.
That's the thing. Honestly, I will say this. I think we killed the moment we brought up MIT, we killed the Dimitri character. I think we killed all the interesting. We were in a really good, we were in a solid place with Dimitri. He and Hawk were in a good place. Everything was nice. And then we just shot him in the foot. We shot him in the foot with MIT. And Tony Stark's going, why MIT of all the schools out there?
Right.
MIT. I'm so glad I'm dead at this point, so I don't have to sit around.
The moment that really cinches it for me is when they're all feeling sorry about themselves because they've got no future. They've got like this tournament is all they have, and then he just has to chime in like, "Well, I'm going to be fine because I'm going to MIT, so I'm not really worried about it." It's like, Dragon, I wanted to beat him up and steal his lunch money. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, well, now he knows karate, so you can't do that.
All right.
Anyway, so Amanda, she's tasked with getting, and more BS, she's tasked with getting Kenny to go to Saikai Taikai, and she tries to force Anthony to apologize for something that he actually, and we, the audience, know he didn't do. And again, it's like Anthony already, he's always, even later on this season, he's still kind of insufferable, but again, he's innocent in this specific instance, but he's still kind of insufferable. And again, ultimately, it takes him to admit, I was a jerk to you, but I swear to you, I didn't do this. Okay, but still, did you have to fight him and everything earlier on? Like, couldn't you have been later on? He's like, hey, Mom, last time we had homemade pizzas. Like, shut up, Anthony, just shut up.
Right.
Giving all the Tonys a bad name, Anthony. God.
Oh my God.
So that's what I'm saying. Amanda's not in the right for forcing this apology, and it's the fact that again she's had no purview on this kid in the first place, which led him down the bully path. It's just it just makes Amanda look kind of bad too. And it's like Kenny's in the right for like these Miyagi-Dos. It's like it hasn't really worked out well. We did him so dirty in the first part of this season with he Brown McGee, so to speak, earned the brown belt,
which is just not great at all. I mean, that is just
It was not pleasant. And also the whole gesture of like Anthony's like, again, Anthony's too stupid to wait until the end of the phone call to drink all the X-Lax. It's like, really?
Right.
I'm glad that we didn't do. I was gonna rage at the TV. It's like, don't tell me we're gonna do like a thing where it's like basically Tiki was like on Arnold Betrays Iggy levels of potential rage.
No. Right.
Of just like the whole two wrongs don't make a right kind of a moral there. Like, come on, really? It's
exactly.
I thought it was very refreshing though that Kenny is quick to forgive Devin. I thought that was actually, I thought that was kind of refreshing.
You know what? I think it's refreshing for the character. I just kind of feel like for as much buildup as we gave the Devin situation, I kind of feel like it was a little underwhelming. I don't know. I'm glad you liked it, but I kind of felt a little underwhelmed.
Well, I mean, taking just like a season of all this teen conflict BS, it was like finally we can just move past it.
No, I hear that.
It's
I think the one problem is that I feel like after that, Devin is just kind of like chilling. Like she really doesn't have a role at this point. She's kind of just like, okay, like now I'm just kind of hanging out.
I guess she's just kind of on reserve in case anyone gets hurt.
I guess so, yeah.
Which, by the way, let me remind you of this, okay? Just with that in mind, it does throw the whole. Again, someone brought this up. Someone did like a review or something of Cobra Kai, and they had an excellent point when they brought this up. Is like well, I guess well, they focused in on this point because of the whole Kenny thing, the whole choosing your captains and everything via a game of capture the flag. In hindsight, may not have been the best move. Mm-hmm. Because it does feel like in retrospect, it really feels like Miguel demonstrated the leadership skills when he really should have been. He was team captain material. He really should have been team captain.
Yeah, this is what I've been saying. I feel like the plot point really should have just been Robbie being like, you know what, Miguel, you've earned this, but we just never went there for whatever reason.
And frankly, he needs it more too, by the way, because again, he's got a lot more going on than Robbie. It's like, look, Robbie, a lot of Robbie's stuff he did foist upon himself there by just kind of giving up in life. I mean, that was kind of, like Miguel's worked hard. Robbie's like, you know what? I'm going to try now.
Right, exactly.
Which, I mean, good for him, but still, it's like, hey, I deserve my shot too. Well, yeah, Robbie, but still, he's earned it. He's put in the work, it's like, And anyway, my point being the whole capture the flag thing, it just feels like the whole we have to narrow down who we're gonna bring because they're only gonna fly 5 of us out. And apparently in this season,
it does not matter. It does not matter at all.
If we can just fly Kenny out when we're in need, and we have Devin in retrospect, it feels like we should have picked 5 people and then some alternates. That's what it feels like we should have done.
Right.
Like maybe 2 like any jury, 2 alternates. We didn't do that. Okay, anyway, so all this, we find out the kids are okay, chosen, and Sensei Kim, get busy!
Oh, God.
And then we find out that Terry Silver is indeed back, and this is a cute reference. I'm sure some people might be rolling their eyes, but we finally put Terry Silver in the hot tub with the cigar.
Yeah, that's fun.
It was like, okay, if we're going to bring him back...
I did think that it was a fun cliffhanger.
Yeah. It's like a few surprises.
Okay, that brings us to episode 9, Blood In, Blood Out. I'm not going to lie, Dragon, I don't even really remember a lot of this episode because I kind of crammed all these today.
Okay, admittedly.
Help me out here. Where do we start with this one?
Well, we have the legal BS. So we have the opening, which is Terry Silver's lawyer expositing again just all this the BS. We threw out this case because Stingray, his testimony was a train wreck because he was trying to put Bird on the stand.
But again, I do love that idea conceptually.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's one of those things where I really want to see that as like a YouTube short or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Anyway, so again, it's just really this whole that on top of the John Kreese prison escape is just like there's no law in this world.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so Terry, so we reveal that Terry recruited Sensei Wolf, who again is potentially a cool character. We make him a figurehead ultimately, which is we kind of bane him from Dark Knight Rises ultimately. So that's kind of
Right, right.
that's a little unfortunate. I mean, we say he had so we didn't take everything away from him. We say he had the dojo. Basically, he's just being backed by Terry Silver. Essentially, owns the team. Essentially, that's the difference. So it's not really underwriting what Sensei Wolf's doing, but he's ultimately a flunky for Terry Silver. So it does kind of like Tiki. I'll tell you what I really wanted this season. I didn't get it. We got a little bit of a fight, but we didn't. I love that first interaction between Johnny and Sensei Wolf with the stakes so much. I
Mm-hmm.
really wanted the whole thing to be like Sensei Wolf. He had a really good exchange with him in the follow up to the stakes scene, where he told him like he basically compared like the American lifestyle, basically the American way of life to like how Johnny Lawrence eats with the junk foods and everything versus like like strategically putting stuff in your body that it's good for you and stuff that kind of furthers like strength and like wanting and longing and all that. I'm butchering that scene in my recap of that moment, but still, just you see what I'm getting at. It just feels like it was a nice kind of like it's a nice kind of it was a nice breakdown of like the philosophy of this guy's philosophy in life and how he resents kind of like these tourists coming
Yeah, I
into the
get what
psyche
you're
of that
saying.
guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, so I love that, and I was really looking forward to Johnny Lawrence having a moment where this guy's either impressed or he's like kind of underestimates Johnny and the whole in Miyagi Do, but more so just the I wanted Johnny to have like a one up on this guy, like in some way, shape, or form. And later on, like him and Daniel are fighting against him. It feels like that should have been Johnny going up against him, and maybe he's like actually getting a workout with Johnny Lawrence. I don't know, something like that. I would have
Mm-hmm.
really been impressed by.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so so we revealed this guy, and Terry Silver was behind Larusso's kidnapping in the dog cage with Mister De Guzman from Karate Kid 3.
Yes. What a cameo. Oh my God.
Yeah. All right, so Johnny Lawrence, he returns to all this craziness. Just again, just like very again. A lot of people have also pointed out the whole like, hey, plane travel doesn't work like that because it's like literally the next day. It's like it's going to be longer. That's a really long flight going to and back all these times.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so Chosen, he has this great subterfuge idea where they take this is a really good gag. So Kreese's knife, they can take Kreese's knife and they basically make it look like Terry stole it. And John Kreese, he is like that knife meant a lot to him. I guess it was like something from the war, and he goes to he punches Terry in the face and everything. He almost gets Cobra Kai kicked out of the tournament. Like that was a really good idea.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Again, it's good that here's the thing. It's good that Kenny's back in the fray and he and Devin they forgave and forgot everything. But now we have Dimitri yet again trying to ruin this season
Oh
by
my
like
God. Oh,
introducing.
the whole, yeah. Oh God. I mean, I'm glad that we didn't linger on this plot point too much, but it should not have been a plot point to begin with. The fact that
But this is putting us on our heels when we don't need to be. Where it's like,
yeah,
hey, we should be paranoid that Kenny came back and he used to be really tight with Silver, and it's like now we're not tagging him in during the big again, this is like we're into the weird like how is this really karate tag in tag like battle thing.
you have to trust your teammates, Dragon. That's what it's all about.
Yep. Now here's one of the best scenes in this season we do have to talk about. Okay, the locker room scene where they all grew up and got over the team BS and finally and then essentially they're finally addressing. Sorry, they are addressing the finality of the show.
Sure, sure. Yeah.
Like they're finally a team. They're kind of like, man, this is really it. Like if we get this is it.
And
This
like
is
I
what's all
said,
been
I
building
just
to.
feel like this the strength of the show has always been the chemistry between the cast, and for as stupid and wonky as the writing has been this season, I feel like the show is still no matter how ridiculous it gets, I still feel like it's pretty compulsively watchable just based on the strength of the cast alone.
Yeah.
All right.
No, I'm with you. Yeah, it's really that's what I'm saying. I like that it was a scene, but we didn't have the senseis in there kind of giving an inspirational speech that they missed out on. That it was just something they figured out between themselves, and it was really earned. Well, it was overdue more than earned, but it was like finally we've done this scene, and we're kind of like addressing, man, the end is near for this show, and these kids have been in each other's cast has been in each other's lives for 6 years now.
Sure.
So another really good part of this episode, which here's the best thing I can say about episode 4 is that we again kind of a subversion. We essentially take out Cobra Kai in episode 4 of like this part, episode 9, I guess, of the 15. We take him out relatively early, it would seem, which was refreshing. We had the big Quan battle. So Quan is a piece of
like we take him out for what, like half an episode?
Yeah, pretty much.
So it's No, I mean, I agree that it's nice that we kind of have, like, I will say with the Kree stuff, I do kind of like the fact that, in spite of the fact that I think that's a little bit of a reach that John Kreese, of all people, would have any sort of humanity to him, I do like the kind of, like, lesser of two evils style dynamic they have going on with Kreese and Johnny and Daniel teaming up. I'm always a fan of that type of dynamic with a character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you like it when they're all united against Terry Silver.
No, I like that, but I'm just saying, just in general, like, for example, when, the go-to example for me is Pirates of the Caribbean 2 with Norrington. It's like Norrington is, he's not exactly on their side, but he's not, it's, like, I like those kind of complicated dynamics.
Sure.
All right.
So with that, again, Quan, we've been building this guy. This guy's trouble. He's basically kind of Kreese's ace in the hole, because again,
I gotta be honest with you, based on the interviews, I feel like the writers thought this dude would come off like a lot scarier than he actually does.
Yeah, he's not. He's more prickish than he is like scary.
Yeah.
And I mean, here's the thing. So I love that like Kreese is backing Tori very much so. But again, I like that Kreese kind of created this monster in Quan, though, where Quan is like he's a loudmouth. He's basically it's Kreese knowing he can't fully like kind of get this guy in line, but at least he can direct all the chaos to kind of serve his needs. So this guy is kind of like he's a wild card, but in a sense, I mean, he's kind of creating another Silver in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I do like that we built this conflict between Quan and Robbie, and then we have this whole thing where Quan blew up Robbie's relationship in kind of a dumb teen drama kind of a way, where apparently Quan just made like a little reference that he may be dating Tori. In reality, God no, like why on earth would Tori ever date this psychopath? But anyway, so this motivated Robbie. While Tori. She left the team. She kind of blindsided everyone. That she wanted to go on a break. And literally, they pulled her friends. Like, we were on a break.
Oh, God, which I hate, dude. I hate that. I hate that Robbie doesn't have the emotional maturity to see it for what it is. Just the simple fact of, like, look, we are competing in a really high-stakes tournament right now. Like, once the tournament's done, we're fine. But for now, let's pump the brake on the lovey-dovey stuff. Like, doesn't that, am I totally misreading that or what?
No, for sure. And it also feels kind of icky that, technically, at least the way they presented it, this is like the first, teens doing stuff kind of moment we've had in this show, because it's been very much kind of first base to put it gently.
Right. Which
because we have him walk out of the hotel room. He's gotten drunk and he did this, so it's a lot of it's just like
And again, I do like the I wish that it wouldn't have led to the Priya stuff. Like the Zaya. What the fuck's her name? I'm sorry.
Zara.
I'm sorry, Jesus. Like, I wish it hadn't led to that, but I think in a bottle, pun intended, I think the plot of like Robbie kind of like, like being in his own head and going to alcohol because of his insecurity and and being self-aware enough to know that that's kind of following in his father's footsteps. I think that's all really good stuff on paper.
Oh
For
yeah.
his character.
No, I'm with you. You know, like that was a moment where it's like, oh no, Robbie, don't make that choice. Kind of like, you know,
Right,
like,
right,
don't
yeah.
go to the bottle, man. Like that's great, but again, the fact it's going to lead to this whole thing of like, and you know, he went with the other girl and he shouldn't have, and now it's leading to like, Tori calling out her followers, like saying, hey, yeah, she's going to sleep with people's boyfriends. She's not good at all.
Yeah, I can't stand fucking influencer stuff in general and media. I just,
Yep.
I don't know. Anyways.
Anyway, so point being, Robbie's mad at Quan because in a sense he blew up his relationship and everything. He kind of like, he kind of he knocked over the domino.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really cool fight because this Quan's been begging for a whooping this whole season. So like, Robbie finally gave it to him, and he made it hurt. And it was a really good moment too. He said, "What's he doing?" John says, "He's making it hurt." It's like, yeah,
That was a cool moment. Yeah,
that was great. So Johnny Lawrence saying goodbye to Kreese, who in defeat, which is kind of a great kind of full circle kind of moment for like like for the whole tournaments and everything, because he's finally kind of beaten Kreese and he's kind of taking pride over that. Plus, it was his son who did it. His son beat his best student. But like Kreese, he's got his knife back. This is not over.
mm-hmm.
And then we reveal that Mr. Miyagi killed a man. Well, much like Brick from Anchorman, Mr. Miyagi killed a man. Brick killed a guy. Miyagi killed a guy.
Oh God, yeah, it's so bad. This is genuinely like, out of all the stuff in this part of the season, I think this is the. Let's go ahead and transition because, like, the cold open.
Cold open's morally questionable,
to say the least, dude. Oh my God.
So we have the nightmare of basically LaRusso is flash. He's kind of imagining what Miyagi's match was back during
Dragon, this whole time I was just like, please don't do AI Pat Morita. Please don't do AI Pat Morita. And we have the flashback, and it's a younger Miyagi. I'm like, okay, thank God.
Yeah.
But no, they couldn't resist.
Now, I did a cursory look. I couldn't find like how they did. So, is it AI?
It looked AI.
That's what I'm saying. It looked it, but I don't know if it was like
I don't know for a fact, but
I have to imagine the only way
quality to it.
I mean, I have to imagine the only way they could pull that off is it would be an AI or a deep fake kind of thing or something.
Right,
But it just feels otherwise, because again, historically, they've done really impressive things with recasting. If they could have potentially found a guy who looks like Pat Morita and does an impression like Pat Morita, I mean, that'd be impressive. But I don't think that's what they did.
I don't think so either. I mean,
because it looks kind of like an effect, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so we have the young Miyagi initially with the young Miyagi versus LaRusso, which
I guess in a bottle, like the only reason this makes sense at all, and I will give it a pass, is that it does kind of set up the whole like somebody's going to get killed in the tournament thing,
Yeah.
But to have it with Miyagi, man, it's just a little icky, right?
Okay, well, here two things. Okay, one, even if this was going to be our payoff, which clearly in the third part we're going to have a thing where somewhat it's like, and Miyagi never got over that loss, that moment. So we're going to have to soften it somehow, but it really feels like, why did we have the whole Miyagi stole something from a guy once, and that somehow leads here? Like, I don't really see how those dots.
I know.
So I don't know. One, I don't know how those dots connect. Two, I kind of like what Dream Miyagi says here. The whole Danielson. Again, Daniel's kind of reflecting his own his own self fears here, where it's like eager to understand but not willing to accept, which is kind of his thing. He's never willing to accept stuff. Like, that's kind of an interesting kind of idea there. The interesting, the kind of the cute little nod, the whole young Miyagi fighting Daniel Russo thing is kind of a nod to, there was this, I don't know if you ever heard about this, when they were contemplating sequels to Karate Kid, like after the third one. Or maybe in the third one, then it kind of like was shelved, and it was kind of like around before they ended up on Hillary Swank for the fourth one. One of the ideas was a Karate Kid time travel thing where you would have had a young Miyagi.
Oh God!
So I like to think that this is like a kind of a deep cut, maybe a bit of a nod to that, which I think is like, again, before we get into the whole like, Marita's back kind of a moment, it just feels like, hey, it's kind of
Right.
cute.
Right.
So anyway, so then we see Mr. Miyagi in the last moments. It does feel like kind of like, oh man, that feels. I have to wonder if maybe that was like if someone went over Mount Machio's head or not on that one. That just feels like
Because it's
someone.
like I was like I wasn't thrilled with this just because I'm not thrilled with the whole like I just think the whole like digging up dirt on Mr. Miyagi after the fact is just kind of a lazy plot line and a little bit insensitive to the legacy of the character. But if we're just showing him as a younger actor, fine, whatever. But yeah, there's no reason to do this.
I want to be clear. I'm not just trying to bag on AI. Clearly, it's not good. I'm not trying
I'm
to
trying to
belabor that
bag on
point.
AI.
I,
Fuck
I,
AI.
I,
AI
I,
should be fucking outlawed.
yes, I know.
Especially in the entertainment industry where,
Uh,
artists rely on, and anyways, you get my
Not
point.
helping. Yes, we all know. I'm saying we all know that, Tiki. We all know AI is bad. What I'm saying is just not so we don't get ball. It's AI, so it's automatically bad. I just want to dig into it again. It's we didn't need it though. We didn't need to see an older Miyagi. Let alone do we need Miyagi to be a murderer?
Right, right.
It's just unnecessary. We don't need like a dark backstory. Miyagi. We already had that. We had the thing that Miyagi was in a war. He probably used karate to kill people.
Hmm.
Again, for in the whole like we recontextualize through Chosen what defense means, where defense can include offense, which again Miyagi had moves that could have been lethal. Like that's all we needed. We already knew that he's possibly killed people during war.
Yeah.
We don't need like, and he killed a guy at a tournament.
Hmm.
I don't know. So I mean, here's what I predict. By the way, I predict what we're going to see is like we're going to contextualize things. We're going to see the fighter in the ring. Probably Miyagi was fighting. Probably Miyagi kept begging him to end the fight, and he wouldn't. And the guy probably died by like exhaustion or not exhaustion, but maybe like a blow too many when he should have really thrown in the towel, kind of like a boxing kind of thing.
Or I'm thinking it could be something where it's going to mirror what goes down with a cliffhanger, where it's like the guy kind of brought it on himself in a way.
Yep, Miyagi, you stole my priceless heirloom. Here's a knife. Ah, kind of a thing there. So, plot twist: the Russians they cheated.
Yeah, I really have nothing to add here, Dragon, because I just think that it's just kind of a lazy thing. Like, I got to be honest with you, man. I'm kind of running out of steam on this show in general, and this episode, I don't know, man. The Russians getting disqualified only to come in to like instigate a brawl at the end. It's just dumb. It's just dumb. I don't
I
have
mean,
anything to say. I don't have any thoughtful commentary. It's just dumb. I'm really kind of running on fumes with what I can even say about this show at this point. I'm sorry.
okay, look, just before we get to at least the brawl, which basically gets us to like the big cliffhanger kind of moment. Just the speed run through something here. I will give the show points here in the last episode for this part of the season. We got some good couple goals stuff going on with Miguel and Sam here. Where they're on they're not doing like the forced jealous. I think Miguel's smart enough to know. Okay,
I do
Sam's
like
not
the
going for it.
montage. I do like the training
Yeah.
montage that we get in this episode. I think it's very much like classic 80s sports movie.
Also, Miguel's pep talk to the feuding senseis, like, hey, no more of that. That was season
Yeah,
4,
that's
guys.
fun.
We're
That's
past
fun.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like again, Miguel giving a feel good pep talk. Yeah, that's what Miguel does. He gives the feel good pep talks, and we're doing a training montage. We had a really nice moment with Tori. Tori asking Sensei Kim, "Is it worth it?" Is like, you know, closing yourself off and dedicating yourself fully. Was the whole champion status? Is it worth it? That was a really good moment for Tori and Sensei Kim.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Which you could just tell is absolutely not what she wanted to hear in that moment, which I like.
Yeah, and again, you can tell that Sensei Kim's like there's a moment's hesitation in that, and I really like that hesitation.
Mhm.
You know. Okay, anyways, basically we have the semifinal kind of captain matches. We have Robbie versus Axel, in which the fight basically turns to utter bedlam once Robbie is like caught by the Cobra Kai guys, and he kind of gets like a cheap shot hit on him, and then the Russians come in and screw everything up. They punch out poor Gunther.
Yes.
And I love that Gunther was like standing up to the Russians too, and that's why they did that. Just the whole thing of like, hey,
I
y'all,
am just
you're
dragging this whole thing. Like once this whole thing went down, I'm not gonna lie, I pretty much just checked it. I was like, okay, like we're doing this because we need to have a brawl, but it's I don't know, man. I'm tired. I'm so tired.
I mean, I can I can respect in the grand scheme that we kind of this is like the sanctioned version of that school fight, or I guess maybe not the sanctioned version, but it's kind of like the school fight was like the warm up for just the utter chaos and
Yeah, but
actual like danger.
the school fight was so much more engaging because literally every character involved in that fight had stakes in that fight, and it was a buildup throughout the whole season. It was a buildup of tension. It had a legitimately kind of devastating, like, end result. I mean, like this has a result that's going to change the status quo of the show, but like nobody cares about the guy that got hurt. You know what I mean?
That's true. That's very true. No one liked one.
Happen?
What?
I thought Daniel was going to step in and get stabbed.
Yeah, that was the tension.
Yeah.
Are we going to? Well, we know he's going to live because
I would have applauded the show all the more for that, man. Because as we already established, I feel like they're having a hard time figuring out stuff for him to do, anyways.
Here's the thing: we know he's going to live because he's going to be in that new Karate Kid movie they're doing. So we know he's going to live, but he could have been stabbed though. Could have been like Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Could have been stabbed, but not dead. But
exactly.
Still stabbed.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, I'm with you though. I seriously, I did think that was going. I was because that moment,
like when I realized that it was just going to be like the bad guy who gets stabbed with his own knife, I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, that's about the least interesting way. Like, I don't know, man. I feel like this show's allergic to actually having serious consequences beyond the one time where we paralyzed Miguel for like half a season. Beyond that. Yeah. That was the one time where it actually felt like we had genuine stakes and genuine consequences. I just feel like this show, like we've never killed off a character. We've never even had an injury like really sustain itself beyond Miguel for like half a season. It's I don't know. I feel like it's definitely an issue that this show has. Is just kind of like the lack of actual stakes.
Because no one cares about Quan. Not even Quan's parents, assuming he has parents, do they like him? No one likes Quan.
Exactly.
I'm not unconvinced that Sensei Kim isn't his mom, and if so, I mean, it's the only person that would give a crap about him.
Right.
Anyway, now with all that said, I do want to say, Tiki, I can respect that. Again, the fighty fight is you're mentally checking out of the big brawl fighty fight thing. Aside from Gunther getting his licks in with the Russian, that's really cool. I want to say this though. By the very tail end of it, though, the way we pay off and kind of ratchet up the tension until we realize, oh man, it's just Quan. Until that, I am liking a lot. I'm liking that like Johnny kind of saves Kreese, in which Kreese is kind of reevaluating.
We do get some good moments. We get another Miguel Robbie team up. That's always fun. There's some good moments in the fight. I'm not going to deny that.
Like, as it ramps up to the end, all those good moments, I think they start to pile up in the good sense. We're getting that. But Quan is absolutely terrifying and psychotic when he grabs that knife, and I love the fact that the camera falls and we're seeing Quan on the camera have that breakdown and grab that knife. And it's like, I think the grand scheme that Terry Silver, he was on that phone call before Kreese and everything. He was basically saying that he's going to get his revenge by making everyone look bad. Now, I wonder if that is going to be kind of a seed for all this being completely bad press for karate and everything and Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai and all that. I think ultimately that's kind of what we're seeding here with the whole Quan having this very public, very tragic, very horrible, and just the thing would make basically ban karate like Footloose, like completely across the globe
right,
after this, where it's like this crazy psycho he
But
has
I
a
mean, we only
knife.
got 5 episodes, so how much material can we really mine out of that?
I know, that's the thing. I don't know where we go from there, but I
Yeah.
love the setup here of like, I just love the on a national stage we show this kid go completely nuts over karate, and he's actually.
You know what? I will say, I really think Gunter saying "cut the feed" is a perfect way to do the cliffhanger.
Yes. So I mean, that's the thing. Just again, the build up, then the surprise of like the stab, just by like like the move gone wrong, and this the severity in which Gunther says "cut the feed" is like that's an epic mic drop moment for like for the mid season break. Again, completely throws us into a tailspin of where do we go from here, and like what do we have to say? We basically we
I mean, I'm more intrigued going into the last 5 episodes than I was about like, okay, I guess we've got 10 episodes about the tournament. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's the thing. It's like, how do we do it? Basically, karate has like the worst reputation ever after that brawl. Now, like, how the heck do we finish the Saikai Taikai? How on earth would that continue after something like that happens? Like, that's not just like a death in the ring. That's a death in the ring in the modern day, and it's like all the rules of the contest completely broke down.
Mm-hmm.
So I have no idea how we're gonna scale things back. All we know is
Here's what I hope they don't do. I hope they don't have some BS where Robbie is somehow legally at fault because he was involved in the fight.
No, he's not. No, Robbie didn't do it. No, remember, Axel it was Axel and Quan. So
you're right. It was Axel, not Robbie. Okay, my bad.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's really on. And again, like the idea, Axel saved Sam. So that's the thing. Sam was kind of like she potentially was going to get injured during that fight with that knife. Anyway, so I mean, here's the only thing we know we're going to get in these last 5 episodes for a fact is, I mean, Johnny, that baby's got to be born by the end of the show, so she's going to give birth, and Johnny's going to have his second chance at being a father, like like he said, he's going to be there at the delivery room, kind of a thing. But I hope it's not going to be another plane ride getting there. But
Jesus Christ, what is literally like episode 13 out of 15? It's like, okay, Carmen's giving birth. Let's jump back on a plane.
All we know is by the end of this show, baby's going to be born, and Daniel and Johnny are finally going to get along. That's all and Miguel's probably going to go to a decent college. Probably.
Right.
Those are the 3 things we know, Tiki. Everything else is like, I don't know how they buy back the Saikai Taka, and we got to go back to the Valley at some point. We can't end the show not in the Valley. Like, I don't know. And maybe Hillary Swank, who knows? So it's
maybe Jackie Chan.
Well, no, he's going to be in the movie though.
No, I know. I'm kidding.
Yeah, but that's the thing though. It's interesting that we ended things off in like I can respect them going in place where we want people to guess what the heck the last 5 episodes are going to be. In that respect, they succeed. I just wish it wasn't such a drag getting to that point though.
Yeah, for sure.
That's my complaint with this chunk of season. It's like such a frivolous chunk of season until that point. And it's kind of a bummer given the Saikai Taka was so hyped up. It's like, and we've done it. It's a few kind of like karate exposition bouts, and then there you go.
I mean, honestly, I've kind of had that issue throughout this show where I feel like the most interesting seasons are pretty consistently the ones that aren't building to a tournament. Like, I think season 2 is definitively the best season of the show. Like, pretty clear cut. Like, I don't think there's much question there. And I think that it's literally just all, like, natural tension and drama from the characters. And I feel like it works out really well. It builds to a really big crescendo, as we already talked about. So, yeah. I just think we're really spinning our wheels here, man. And I mean, I've clearly been kind of struggling to even talk about some of this stuff because it's just so, I don't know, man. It just feels so much like we're just, I truly feel like we could have just like ended this season out with a proper 10 episodes and actually had a better story to tell and not had a lot of this padding BS, Without 15 episodes, we definitely wouldn't have gotten an episode like Snakes on a Plane. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Here's an idea. Maybe 13 episodes.
I don't know because I still have PTSD. Get me out of jail from the the Marvel Netflix.
No, and that's what I was kidding about. That's what I wanted to say. Like, throw a little Marvel Netflix 13. But
all right,
yeah, no,
I think that's about it. Dragon. Any other final thoughts here?
No, just why didn't we get to the good parts?
Because they've got to have money.
They've got the stall. It's like, no, we can't just end it. No, we have to drag it on for like 2 quarters.
Quarterly earnings, Dragon. It's a thing.
We got to drag it on so Stranger Things has time to film.
Oh God! Oh dear God! Oh, all right. Have a good night, everyone. Thanks for coming. See you later.